Are recorded. You may go back and listen to it at your leisure. We are so happy to have Mr. Kuczala back this morning to do some breakout sessions for us. Mr. Kuczala is a world-renowned speaker and lecturer. He comes from a family of many teachers, including his sister, mom, dad, grandparents, and cousins. He has been around the world giving presentations and professional development workshops regarding the benefits of kinesthetic learning and how teaching and learning through movement has changed the landscape of teaching. He co-authored a book that has won him the bestseller and Association of Educational Publishers Distinguished Achievement Award called The Kinesthetic Classroom. I'm sure you've all heard of that one. He has gone to write many more books, and his many publications speak to his knowledge and expertise in the subject of movement and engagement to develop an effective learning environment. His fourth and latest book, released in February of 2022, called The Peak Performing Teacher, 5 Habits of Success, is where Mr. Kuczala is going to spend the session discussing. He will dive deeper into the mind-body connection and how your physical life creates a successful life. Please welcome Mr. Mike Kuczala.
Thank you very much, Ellen. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to highlight the fact that I do come from a family of teachers, wife, sister, both parents, 3 grandparents, an aunt and a cousin. It's just what we do in my family. It's what we love, discuss, are passionate about. And so what I do before every session is thank you to all of you and what you've done for students over the last 2 years. It's just incredible. So the bottom of our heart and my family has greatly appreciated what you have done. It's probably a safe bet to say that not everyone in this session today was in the keynote last night, and they kind of go together. Today is going to be more of an information session / work session about the 5 habits and just some things that you might think about. And I want you to know, and I said this last night, that I am not the inventor of any of these things, whether it's living the physical life, changing your mind, which has to do with stress management, gratitude, morning routine. It is just, these are things that are told in the book through my stories, through my filters, through my personal history, and hopefully you can find pieces that work for you. And so I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Just as a review, I just want to show you a list of what the 5 habits actually are. So I am going to just get to the right screen here if I can, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see. And I'll just do a brief overview, then we'll jump right in. All right, so there we go. Habit 1, live the physical life. And there's so much to it. Last night, what I discussed was there's so much research on the cognitive benefits and how it's antidepressive, anti-anxiety, anti-stress, pro-BDNF, pro-learning, and then neural network connection, et cetera, et cetera. I could go on and on, but it also is a way to jumpstart a successful life. It's a way to use our physicality to enhance our psychology, change our psychology. It's a way to manage state. And I heard that in the last session, that term, and it's a very important one. We'll do a deeper dive in the next session that I do. So living the physical life is really critical. We'll do a little bit today. We're a little bit limited in a virtual space, but we can do a little bit of work around that. And I give you some resources to check out. Habit 2, change your mind, is about stress management. It is about perspective. It is about cognitive reframing and how we create less stress in our life through a change in perspective and a short framework of questions about how we can do that. But also it's about what we can do in the immediacy of our stress. Then I'll take you through just a little bit review of a breathing exercise I did last night. And then we're actually going to, I hope you're interested, this is part of the description, we're going to dip our toe into meditation today. I'm going to show you about effortless meditation, which is based on transcendental meditation. And I've been using this process for almost 30 years. So I will share that with you this morning. Sharpen your mental focus. We'll save for the end. It's about goal setting. It's about developing a personal mission statement. And we'll get to a little bit of an exercise with personal mission at the end if I have some time, and I can do a little bit of goal setting to share with you a different way, maybe of thinking about goal setting. We'll do that. powering up gratitude. Just what the research says about gratitude is incredible. You're more likely to exercise. You're going to lead a happier, more resilient life. Sleep improves, etc. The benefits are endless. What I said last night was it's like investing $10, getting $100,000 in return almost instantly. And I was going to share a few ideas today about how to use that in your life on a more regular basis. And finally, win the morning, to be cliche, and make the morning count. Everybody has a morning routine. We all get up, we all hopefully shower, dress, go to work. That's a morning routine. But we want you to think about how can we make this more inspirational, to create more momentum and motivation in your morning, so that when you show up for work each day and do the tremendous work you do for students every day, you are just as dynamite as you can be for yourself, but also for your students, because they deserve nothing less than the very best you have to give each and every morning. So those are the 5 habits, and we're just going to do, some informational work, a little bit of a work session, and do a little bit of a deeper dive into maybe 1 or 2 things to think about around each habit. So let me get out of there. All right, so here's where I want to start this morning. A question I want you to just reflect upon. When you're thinking about the 5 habits, and the stress that you've been under over the last 2 years, it's really not why I wrote the book. It was timing was kind of interesting, but I wanted to be a resource for you.
No, I'm not. I went to Gutierrez first. Absolutely not.
Most of you have spent the last 2 years, and no one thought this year could get any worse, and it did, putting yourselves at the bottom of your to-do list. My goal is to have you put yourselves back at the top. So we have to ask ourselves, are we going to jump in with both feet, or are we going to just maybe step our big toe in the water? Either way is fine. That's a personal question on your part. I tend to jump in with both feet. If I see 5 habits in front of me, I'm going to just go after it. I'm going to try to make changes in every one of those 5 habits. Not everyone is built that way, and that's okay. I just tend to, like when I took on this book project, which has actually been sitting around since the late 1990s. I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan. In the late 1990s, just to give you a minute of background, I wrote to him. I said, hey, what are you doing for teachers? Because I was consuming his cassettes. That's how old I am, and his audio files and books. And eventually I spent a week with him in Las Vegas in 2014. But I said, what are you doing for teachers? They're entrusted with our greatest national resource, children. His people were very kind. They wrote back and they said, good luck, frankly. And they sent books for all of his books for the school library, which was great. So that, for me, expressed itself over the years in graduate courses based on motivation, on wellness, on the kinesthetic classroom. But all these years later, at the end of the pandemic, I needed a project. And so this was it. And when I do that, when I have to have that level of discipline to get a book from here to the marketplace, I ramp up discipline in my life, because to me, discipline equals freedom. And that's something that I think about constantly when I'm trying to create a goal and reach a goal, as this book represented for me. And here's something else I'd want you to think about: the pain-pleasure principle. Our brain has a scale. It's always judging the question that's in front of us. Let's just think about procrastination. Procrastination is a pain-pleasure decision, right? The pleasure of not doing something outweighs the pain of doing it, until you get to that deadline, right? Now, all of a sudden, you have 2 pains come up side by side, and the greater pain's going to win. Our brain's constantly judging that. We can use it to our advantage by asking this question: what will it cost us if we don't do it now? Because the brain will do more to defer pain than it will to gain pleasure. So we have to use that to our advantage. What will it cost me? What will it cost my family? What will it cost my career if I don't act now? So what part of this, I would ask you to think about this as we go along today as well. What part of your life do you feel like that you could have some improvement? Everybody You know, it's tough. Frankly, it's tough to be well in the United States of America. You have to constantly work at it. And if you give up, we're surrounded by such instant gratification, bad food, food for entertainment, technology that, you know, kind of puts downward pressure on our movement life. It's tough. And so, you know, where can you use some improvement, and what would happen if you didn't act upon that as soon as possible? So let's now move forward with the habits. And in the physical life, I just want you to know, and again, there's not much we can do here in a virtual setting with the physical life, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed by it. As I age, I think about my physical life as a protector of my brain. It's not very efficient as a weight loss tool unless you were doing phenomenal workouts every day, several hours a day. So I think about it as a protector for my brain. So that is the cornerstone of my life. I believe it should be the cornerstone of every life, is that we live a physical life. So I'm doing one or two things most days, whether it's in the gym, on my mountain bike, in an indoor bike, playing pickleball, playing golf, something. I just want to be physical. Having said that, I don't want to overwhelm you. Walking is perfect. And research has shown that just having physical activity, participating in physical activity, an extra 11 minutes a day will extend your life. So don't be overwhelmed by it. Find your sneakers and go out for a 10 or 15-minute walk. Start somewhere. Start simply, and that is okay. It gets you moving down the road of physical activity. The other thing that I'd like you to think about, two more things, because I don't know what your level of physical activity is. Some of you might be, you know, into physical exercise, aerobic, anaerobic, whatever it is, on a daily basis. You're getting after it. While some of you may be somewhere in between, some of you are not moving as much. I know I'm preaching to the choir in this group, health and physical literacy, physical educators, health educators, but some of you might not be moving like you once did. So I have a way that I'd like to suggest that is comfortable, because I've had back surgery. I've had some bad mountain bike wrecks. I've had more surgeries than that you don't need to know about over the past 5 or 6 years. So I need to be gentle with myself. And I just want to introduce something to you today that might be useful for you, because it is accessible to everyone. It's like a no sweat, fantastic way to get movement into your life. And it is called Svarupa Yoga. Maybe some of you are familiar with that, maybe not. When you get your packet from this conference, there will be a link in there that you can visit. If you just search Sva, S-V-A, R-O-O-P-A, Svarupa Yoga. I've been using it ever since, just right before my back surgery, which was about 5 years ago, and almost every day since. It's a kind of a non-sweat, just fantastic way. Let me see if I can pull something up here. I'm going to read you something right from their website. Svarupa Yoga is a technique for opening your body, Rupa, to find yourself, Sva. It has a radically different approach than most modern styles of yoga and can give you a new way to think about asana practice. The practice creates a core opening by releasing the tensions in the deepest layers of your body. Dissolving these tensions allows you to live with ease, both in your body and in your deeper self. That ease is your birthright. This all happens without sweat or strain, because Svarupa Yoga is not exercise, but a scientific maximization of the body's natural capacities. When practicing Svarupa Yoga, we delve into our body as if opening a precious gift, carefully wrapped in many layers. So what I want to share with you today, as I said, this is part work session, and I hope that you we have some wonderful live Svarupa Yoga where I live in southeastern Pennsylvania, and I hope you can find that. But I'd like to show you a pose. It is a work session. Let's get physical. And frankly, what Svarupa Yoga is, you hold poses for anywhere from like 3 to 7 minutes. It's very relaxing. The stretches are profound. Take it from someone who is a back surgery survivor. And it just, makes me feel fantastic by the time I get done with the practice. So if we're going to do one today and you want to join, if you don't want to, that's fine. Actually, I'm going to have you do, I appreciate you, Betsy, standing up. We're going to do this in our chair. This is going to be a pose in your chair. So just sit somewhere close to the edge. And I want you to put your feet flat on the ground, a little bit wider than shoulder. And then my head's gonna go away here in a second. I want you to rest your elbows right on your knees, simply like this. And I'm gonna count for 30 seconds, and you're gonna dip your head to do a complete stretch right down between your legs. Really feel it in your lower back. And you'll have silence now for the next 30 seconds. Continue with that pose. I'm going to talk to you. The next part of this particular asana is to slide your elbows off of your knees so that the backs of your hands are now on the floor. And hold that position for the next 30 seconds. So you should be completely slid down to the floor with the backs of your hands resting on the floor in a really deep lower back stretch. And slowly bring yourself back up to a seated position. And that is a very, very fundamental first look at basic introduction and exposure to Svarupa Yoga. And folks, I promise you, it is just wonderful. So check that out. Again, the link will be in the packet for this session once you receive that. But if you search Svarupa Yoga, and if you also put in back of it the magic 4, it'll show you 4 fundamental poses. There are many more poses than that, but it's a great place to start to really, bring an introduction of our physical activity back into your life if you haven't been so for a while, to just get you moving and get the blood flowing around your brain and body. So based on the time and how much time I took to do those first 2 segments, I was going to do a little bit of work with power posing. I think I'll pass for right now. If you weren't in the keynote last night, I do want to refer you to the TED Talk, one of the most viewed ever, of Amy Cuddy, Cuddy. It's about body language. And this is all about your physiology changing your psychology. And what she's saying in her research at Harvard is that when you do certain power poses, with this physicality in your life, your testosterone levels rise, your cortisol levels drop, which is what we're after. And conversely, when you do unpowerful poses like crossing your legs, arms crossed, a hand up here, your cortisol levels actually rise and your testosterone levels drop. So check out that TED Talk. And I mentioned this last night. To be fair, some researchers have not been able to reproduce that. She stands by her research. I'll let you watch and do your own reading and make a decision. But I do suggest the next time you're going to go into a stressful situation or something, or where you got to be on, or you coach and you have players. I have many times gotten players into power poses. So check that out. Moving on to the second habit, change your mind. So for me, and I think for now, I'm not going to go back and do the breathing exercise, just based on time. If I have time at the end, I'll do it. My intent today was to show you just kind of a beginning way to meditate, because for me, a change in perspective is fantastic, and we can work on that through cognitive reframing. There are other ways to manage our stress, of course. But for me, and I talk about this in the book, I had a situation with a parent early in my teaching career. I didn't have the thick skin that I have now. I wasn't sleeping. My blood pressure was rising. It was ridiculous because you think, Mike, you had a problem with a parent. Big deal. Every other parent was supportive, but it's just how I took it. Everybody has their own stress, right? We talked about it last night. One person's stress is another person's joy, and the meaning that we create around it. So that it was really bad. And I learned how to meditate as a young teacher. And for me, it saved my life. So some of the benefits of meditation, your breath while you're meditating, you may notice it today, is less than when you sleep. Right? I mean, it physically changes your brain. We know that, lowers blood pressure. But the greatest thing for me is that I was able to see life with a different perspective. The continued practice of meditation creates a different awareness and a different perspective over time. And so I became a less stressed individual because of that. Now, what I'm going to show you today is something from effortless meditation. There's many ways to meditate. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. It's just how I learned. And it was it's a good amount of investment of time and dollar resource to do. And it took me several weeks to get into the practice, but it's based on transcendental meditation. So in a few moments, I'm just going to get right to it. I'm going to ask you to be seated comfortably, which I think you are. Your feet are going to be flat on the ground. And I am going to ask you to close your eyes, not yet, to center yourself and just be as peaceful as you can be in this moment. After about a minute, I'll ask you to open your eyes. And then I'm going to ask you to do it again. Just close your eyes, get yourself centered. After a minute, I'll have you open your eyes. And then I'm going to ask you to get into the effortless meditation. Today we'll do it for 5 minutes. That's all. It might seem like a long time in a virtual setting, but you need to get a little bit of experience with it. I do it for 20 minutes every morning, and sometimes I do it for 20 minutes in the afternoon. It's a part of my morning routine. So that's ultimately what we're after, is at least 20 minutes once a day, but I want you to experience 5. So I'm going to give you a mantra, because this type of meditation has a mantra, and our mantra today is going to be the word peace. I have a personal mantra that in 30 years has been spoken out loud once by my teacher to me. It has no meaning to me except it's my mantra. But most people, I hope in this session, have a positive connotation with the word peace. So once we start going in, then when I ask you to close your eyes again, in your own time, in your own way, in your head, you're going to begin to say the mantra again and again and again. Peace, 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 peace. And right in your own brain. You're not going to say it out loud. You're just going to say it here. And what will happen is that thoughts will come in, right? And so let me give you kind of some context. When you first meditate, it's like being on top of a very wavy ocean. And the mantra takes you down to the still waters. The ultimate goal of meditation is to be, no thought, no mantra, just still. It just takes your body and goes, and just relaxes you tremendously. So, I just saw a note. So real quick. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not great at looking at the chat while I'm doing a session. So I'm going to just keep going. I'll take some questions at the end if anyone has any. But, and then what happens is your thoughts of your daily life comes in and you go back up to the choppy, wavy water. And that's when you just have to focus on the word peace, peace, peace. If you notice yourself falling asleep, if you notice your chin dropping to your chest, all normal. So let's just go ahead and get started. Everyone's going to have a different response to this. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to like, oh my gosh, when is this done? That's all very normal. I'm going to get out my phone to get a timer. And what I'd like you to do is to go ahead and get yourself comfortable, feet flat on the ground. And I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for 1 minute and just relax and center yourself. Go. Gently open your eyes. Just take a deep breath. Relax. And once again, please close your eyes, relax, and try to center yourself for 1 minute. And gently open your eyes. Take a deep breath. And now I'm going to one more time ask you to close your eyes and in your own way, let the word peace begin to be repeated in your head. And remember, when the thoughts come in, and they will, go back to the word peace and keep the mantra going. We'll do this for the next 5 minutes. I'm going to put on some light music. So please close your eyes, relax, and begin. When you are ready, gently open your eyes. Take a deep breath. And that was a very, very, very quick introduction into effortless meditation. For some of you, maybe the experience was taking a really long time. And for others, it was like that was already 5 minutes. So just wanted to give you a brief introduction. Same thing with the Swarupa Yoga, just to give you some ideas about what's out there. Meditation changed my life. And that's why I like to share it with others. I'm not a meditation teacher, but I've been doing it long enough to at least give you an introduction. It's not the only way to do it, but I hope that you will continue to explore its stress management capacities are really fantastic. Let's move on to the next habit. Gratefulness and gratitude. I'm going to show you, let me get this PowerPoint up. Just one PowerPoint that I showed last night on what some of the research says. And again, this is like investing $10, getting $100,000 in return almost instantly. As I said last night, I like to think of gratitude as my superpower. I don't have much mastered in this lifetime, but I know that I need to go to gratitude when I'm feeling stressed, when I am feeling angry, when I'm feeling fearful. This is where I go. It's a fantastic benefit. But you see the list right there. You can increase your happiness. You're more likely to take care of yourself. You're at lower risk for depression and anxiety. You have a higher level of satisfaction. Generally, you're more sensitive, empathetic. You're more resilient, and you'll probably sleep better. So the question is then, why would you not? To create a new mindset, to be the peak performer that you can be. And what are the different ways that you can express gratitude? Well, something that's not even on here is gratitude for yourself. So self-talk and the gratitude that I experience when I need to be into that type of mindset and the things that I'm grateful for. I'm going to share with you in just a little bit a morning routine that I have that encourages this. I use gratitude every morning as a part of my morning routine. So it's just done here. It's a part of my self-talk. So that is one way to do it. And that goes along with gratitude mining. So I'll just go back briefly to thank you cards. I mentioned last night, I spent a year writing a thank you card a day to the people who deserve them in my life. I don't do that every year. I haven't done it since, but I did do it, and it was fantastic. What it did for me, what it did for the receiver of the thank you card was great. Gratitude journaling is another way to express your gratitude. I have several years in a row taken the month of January to list 10 things each day that I'm grateful for. That's the way that I express it in a gratitude journal. As someone that I focused on in the book, I talked about him during the keynote, Eric Savage, creates life improvement businesses. Gratitude is his strong suit. He keeps a gratitude journal every day on his phone. He's been doing it for the past 9 years. what some of the research says is that once a week can be very effective, especially when people are having difficulty knowing, what and how to be grateful that often. But if you're into it every day, what you will start to need to do is to gratitude mind, to really look around in your life and find things to be grateful for. It just makes you feel better all day long. It's a different type of mindset. It really helps us. The problem, how we've been taught to be grateful, you ask someone what they're grateful for, they'll say their family, their friends, their career, their home, whatever it is. It's not dialed down enough. It's not detailed enough. We don't drill down enough. Who is that person in your family that you're grateful for and why? What are the details? There's been times when I've been in my car and I travel a lot. I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for the engine. I'm grateful for all the people that put that together, for the roads, for everything that it takes for you to get from point A to point B, which we take for granted. Those are things to be grateful for. So just some more food for thought. And finally, a gratitude letter. So the research on this, I'm embarrassed to say I've only done it once in my life. I will probably do it again. Gratitude letter can provide up to 3 months of greater happiness, and both for the writer and the receiver. And the best way to do it, according to the research, is to go and read it to the individual that you wrote it for. It's powerful. And now, unless someone has passed away, with Zoom, we can read this to anybody, even if they're cross country, or we can actually go visit them and read it in the room. I did it for my mom not long before she died. And it was something that she deserved. And I feel like I was going to read it to you. I don't know if I'd be able to make it through. So I'm not sure I should. I could at least start it. And so you get an idea of what I'm talking about, because it's in the book. So, dear Mom, this is a letter of thanks and love to one of the most amazing women I have ever known. You've taught me so much. Probably the most important is how to love, because you showed it to me all the time. Even when I didn't deserve it, you were an example of love, compassion, and patience. And that's where I'll stop. Sorry about that, but I won't be able to make it through the rest of it very easily. So here's my question to you. If you know the joy and the happiness that this can provide for both you and the person receiving the letter, who deserves your letter, right? Who is that person that needs to hear how grateful you are for them? And I encourage you to write the gratitude letter. If you already have the book, you can finish reading the letter to my mom. But it's just one of those things that is a wonderfully selfish act because of what it provides for us. And it's wonderful for the other person as well. So there's a lot more to gratitude in the chapter, and a lot more to Eric's philosophy around that, who I interviewed for this chapter. I don't have a lot of time to get into it today. So I just want to highlight gratitude and how critical it is in all of our lives. So next habit is the morning. And what I did was to interview I reached out to 8 practicing classroom teachers that I lived their professional life at such a high level that I assumed that they had a morning routine, that they had to get their day started in the right way. And of 8 asks, I was right in 7 cases. One gentleman wrote back to me and said, Mike, you don't want to know what my morning routine looks like. I have 3 small children. I said, I get it. I had young twins at one point, and no problem at all. And, I think I am going to share just to highlight it. And with this morning routine, I don't share these with you so that they appear so daunting they can't be achieved. I'm not asking you to create any of these morning routines like these teachers did. I want you to think about what you love, what inspires you, what gives you joy, and wake up 15 minutes earlier and do it. Working out gives me joy and happiness. And sometimes I do it in the morning. That has changed over the years, but my meditation practice and my visualization practice, which I'll describe in a few moments, gives me joy and positivity. And I'm ready to jump out of my bed and get after my day. Don't we all want to feel that way? Sure. I mean, when we talk about, I didn't even talk about this today. When we talk about changing your changing your psychology with your physiology, the next time you're feeling stressed, depressed, anxious, tired, lethargic, look at what your body's doing. Change it. Change it. Maybe that's your morning routine, to jump out of bed, get your shoulders back, get a smile on your face. Maybe that's a part of your morning routine. I don't know, but it needs to be something to get us excited about winning that day and showing up. Because the research shows that if you show up to work in a bad mood, it's going to affect your entire day. So let's take a look at, hang on, just some highlights from these morning routines. So a third grade teacher from Johnstown, Colorado, and I know that she does this every day, even on weekends, even in the summer. She's up at 4:30. She does a 30-minute workout because she knows it maintains her, creates a different mindset, and creates a healthier lifestyle. The middle school principal from New Canaan, he exercises in the morning also, drinks a full pint of water. He is one of those that makes his bed every morning. Fifth grade teacher from Sussex County, New Jersey, wakes to a natural alarm clock, morning prayers, morning meditation. There's morning stretching. There's a gluten-free breakfast, etc. She starts this the day before the morning, the night before, when she gets home from work. She's a cancer survivor, and so she saw this as critical in her life, and it's been a great thing for her. Someone else who works out in the morning, health and fitness educator in Washington. The most interesting thing about the pedagogical coordinator at the Cow School in Saudi Arabia is that he reads passages of books while listening to them at a higher rate of speed every morning. He gets through a lot of books. It's inspirational for him. He journals, he exercises, he meditates. So you can see some common themes in these morning routines. Digital learning specialist here in Pennsylvania, the long list of prayers, affirmations, reading personal development material, etc. And finally, an elementary physical educator in Hillsborough, North Carolina. What he does in the morning before we ever get to work is incredible. And sometimes he's teaching morning exercise classes as well. And again, I don't share these to make it seem daunting. I want to show you what's possible, and it's very personal. So in my morning routine, as you know by now, I meditate first, and then I do this very specific visualization where I am both goal setting and grateful at the same time around 4 areas of my life: my career, my finances, my relationships, and my body. And it just sets me up for success. You can do whatever you want. You can be as fantastic as you want, make it a great movie, and inspire yourself. I do use music with it. When I go to YouTube, I put in inspirational instrumental music. I get this great kind of epic movie music, and I do this fantastic visualization. And that's what does it for me. I will tell you where I learned that. And it's very different from how I originally learned it, but Tony Robbins does something called a priming activity. And I did it live with 1,000 other people in a room in Las Vegas, and it was amazing. The link to that, you can search it, go to YouTube and put in Tony Robbins priming activity, and you'll be able to experience it for yourself. It's amazing. Eventually, I shifted away from that and into my own morning routine. The link will be in that packet that you get after the conference. Okay, so think about what inspires you, what brings you joy, and maybe think about creating something in the morning around that activity. So you're more likely in a better mindset when you get to work. Finally, I want to get into sharpening your mental game and the mission statement, personal mission statement. And why this is so important, I think are 2 reasons predominantly. It really inspires. It can inspire where you want to go in your life and career, and it also creates less stress around decision making. If you've created a personal mission statement, every decision that you make gets to be compared against that statement. Is this decision taking me further away from my mission, or is this, this action, this whatever activity, pulling me closer to my mission? So I think it's important to have a personal mission statement. So what am I talking about with a personal mission? Maybe you have one, maybe you've written one, but if not, here are a few examples from famous people, because why not? I'm going to share these. Personal mission statements of 5 famous people, and they're listed in the book as well. So here we go. Oprah Winfrey, to be a teacher and to be known for inspiring my students to be more than they thought they could be. Richard Branson, to have fun in my journey through life and learn from my mistakes. Elon Musk, if something is important enough, you should try, even if the probable outcome is failure. Walt Disney, to make people happy. And finally, my guide, Tony Robbins, to humbly serve our Lord by being a loving, playful, powerful, and passionate example of the absolute joy that is available to us the moment we rejoice in God's gifts and sincerely love and serve all his creations. So creating a personal mission statement is a reflective process. And, I'm going to give you a mini version right now, if you don't mind. Why not? I'm going to ask you a few reflective questions. If you're interested, this is a longer reflective process in the book. There's 12 or 15 questions. You just need to take time for yourself, go through these questions carefully, maybe pour yourself a glass of wine and come up with a rough draft and then a final mission statement. So I'm going to give you a minute to answer each of these questions. You can either do it here or you can use a pencil and a paper. And I want you to reflect. And then when we get to the end, I'm going to ask you, this is a really mini process. I want you to take a stab at writing a personal mission statement and then dig into the process more, after you leave this session. So here we go. Number 1. 3 former students have been asked to be on a podcast regarding your influence in their lives. In a few sentences, and I'm just going to give you 60 seconds, what would they say? And you might just jot a few words down. I'm just going to my timer on my phone. All right, question 2. What strengths, skills, and or abilities do you have that bring out the best in you or put you in a state of flow? What do you got going on? What do you provide for the world? What are those, characteristics, strengths, skills, and abilities? Going to take just about 45 seconds on each. Got about 10 seconds left here. All right, next question. What inspires you? Next question. Imagine the best version of yourself. What does it look like? And finally, and I think this is going to take you right to be able, and I'm going to ask you to do this in just a moment. This question is going to take you right to your being able to write a first stab at a personal mission statement. What is the ultimate goal for your life? It's a big question. I'm giving you 45 seconds to answer it. But what is the ultimate goal for your life? And finally, in 1 minute, because that's about the time that we have left, I'm just going to give a short comment to close. Please express your rough draft of a personal mission statement. What is your mission in 1, 2, or 3 sentences? Go. Okay, so I hope you have the beginning of what can be a very powerful personal mission statement. They can also help with writing and setting and writing your goals. And I just want to say that I hope this session has been a reminder about that all of us can make improvement to our lives to become peak performers. It's very personal. We just want to live the best life that we can. And I wanted to share a quote with you to encourage you about moving forward with some of what we discussed today. A year from now, you may wish you had started today. So I thank you very, very much for attending this session. I hope you have a great rest of the day. I hope to see some of you in my session in about an hour on physical activity in the post-pandemic era, which will include a lot of kinesthetic classroom information. So thanks very much and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Mike. That was excellent. I'm looking forward to the next session. It's all kind of builds on everything that is so important right now. We definitely appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Awesome.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me. I'll see you in about an hour.
Yes. Thank you.
Excellent. So Nick Klein is next. We're going to take about 5 minutes. There is, so Nick is doing his session on this one, and Jean White is doing you can't punish it away on the health literacy side. So you have about 5 minutes to take a break and decide which session you want to join next.
Awesome. Thanks, Kath.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hey, how's everybody?
Good. How
We're
are you?
good. You on a little
Fantastic.
treadmill? Nice.
I'm on a little walk-in desk here. Figure I get a few steps in during those 5 minutes so that I'm ready.
That's
My best
fantastic.
state of mind.
All right.
How are you? I feel like I haven't seen you in ages.
It's been too long. It's
Right?
definitely been too long.
How is everything going?
Things are good. Yeah, life is good.
Excellent.
I feel like, I mean, we're all kind of in the Northeast, sure, most of us, I'm assuming. So this week feels like weather-wise, it was the official start to what feels like spring.
I'm freezing.
Oh, you are?
I'm freezing.
Oh, we've
It's
had
like-
70s for
Oh.
like 3 days in a row. No,
Well,
not in Rhode Island.
No, speak for yourself, man. We have the Black Island Ferry hasn't run in 4 days. It's blowing a gale. It's miserable and cold.
Wow, I thought it was like stretching. I guess not. Rhode Island must be that outlier.
But I love your optimism. It's like, no, we're still a little chilly, but we're getting there.
Well, it was cold in PA too, Nick, but it's warming up. Now it's warming up to 70s again.
All right.
Hey, how's
Good news.
how's that little dude? I mean,
Uh,
seriously, he is all over Facebook. He is so cute. He is so you.
We have an awesome time. He goes to a Catholic preschool, and the state diocese decided that every teacher in the diocese had to